All right, so here we go. I am going to participate in, as I can try to line it up, what I think is kind of a rite of passage for people who create these tables. And it is going on YouTube and showing all the tables you got. And it sounds like a fun thing for me to do right now, so that's what I'm gonna kind of set up to do. Let me, whoops. As you can see, I have a screensaver here. Kind of lower the lights. And let's see what I can get set up. Move my keyboard. All right. So I kind of have a new background. Let me start Pinball Y. And I've got 749 tables to show you guys, so I'm not going to spend more than 2 seconds a pop on them. And I might occasionally add something, throw some comment in there, but if you mute, I understand. So, in alphabetical order, here we go. We'll start with 1, 2, 3. As I've been collecting tables on this machine here, my goal has been to set up a machine that anybody who says, hey, what pinball table do you have? I can say all of them. And I guess what I mean is if they say, do you have such and such a table? I can say yes. Now I'm not going to have every single table. I'm sure there are a bunch of tables that have never been recreated in VPX or really any other emulator. But I want to have as good a collection as I possibly can. Ugh. You just saw the most offensive backlash we have. For those of you that are watching, you can kind of see there's a number of stars that I show in that info box that's in the upper half of the playfield. Those are actually my wife's ratings. She hasn't rated all of them, not even close, but she's rated most of the pinball tables that I have from A to, I think we're at C right now. We recognize this is going to be a very long project because it's hard for her and I to carve out time to do this. But one of the things she likes to do is find what she calls its offensiveness rating. And I guess it's sort of a reflection of our history and the way we perceive things. And the things that we didn't think were offensive then, we recognize are offensive now. And so, yeah, I just about a minute ago passed a backlash that I believe she called stratospheric on the offensiveness chart. I'm trying to go fairly fast with these. I realized with the number of tables I had that if I spent more than 2 seconds on each of them, this file would be more than a half hour long. There's one right there that's still at VP9, that Big Hurt game. And again, the virtual pinball community is made up of volunteers. No one makes a dollar on it. There's a lot of very intelligent people that are highly educated, and they certainly know coding, and they've got artistic flair more than I do. I'm not anywhere near the level where I could recreate a table. Maybe someday. Right now, I think the best I can do is make the occasional YouTube video and hopefully draw in a few people into the community that can offer something of substance, and not try to take anything monetary out of it. For those of you that have Pinball Y, which is the front end that I use, and I know other people have Pinball X, other people have Pinup Popper, and I kind of forget the original one. That was pretty common. With Pinball Y, there's a way of recording the media, which is basically what you see here. You know, I haven't started any of these games. If I hit enter, it will take anywhere from like 5 to 15 seconds to load a table. So when I'm setting up Pinball Y, recognizing each game, there is a media capture segment that you do. And I have set it up where I will record video of the playfield, but no audio. And then for the back glass, just a photo with no audio. I didn't want to get so bogged down trying to get full video and full audio of everything. And I just didn't want all that noise happening while I was going from table to table in this mode here, trying to decide what game to play next. I think attract mode is what they call when a pinball machine is just sitting there, you're not playing it yet, but it's trying to attract you. You know, with a lot of the lights going on and some interesting pattern, and maybe the occasional audio, which again, I did not record. Something else I need to worry about when I am preparing a table. Again, I have a 2-screen setup. Some people have a 3-screen setup, and what that likely means is that they've got a small screen, or possibly an actual DMD itself, in between the back glass and the playfield, and that's where you would see the DMD, the dot matrix display, which started, I think, with Checkpoint in 1991, a Data East table. I decided, instead of going that route, that I would just use my old plasma TV on top, and I would let that show the back glass and the DMD. On older machines, like Dolly, like Domino, doesn't really matter. But anything new, Dr. Dude's kind of in between. I'm sure one will be coming up soon. Yeah, Dracula's one, you don't really see it there though. I end up sizing my DMD to be big. Not all the time, Earthshaker's not showing it. And I have not upgraded my DMD. I know there's a one called Freezy, and it's really called a DMD extension. It's by a person whose alias is Freezy. And they have kind of created a DMD of sorts that can handle other stuff that I need to get into, like a pinup player. But the DMD that comes with VPX right now is still serving my needs. So you'll see the occasional table, I think Elvis just showed it, where if it's got interesting stuff on the DMD level, it's kind of there. Then I make it large. I make it about as wide as the back glass itself, and then I try to keep the aspect ratio. Boy, you think one of those newer DMDs would show up here at some point. I guess there's one. I guess when I took my snapshot, I was showing a lobster for fishtails. As I'm recording this, I see that some of the back glasses are not as bright as others. I know how to control the brightness of the play fields while I'm setting it up. when I'm in like an edit mode and I hit the F6 command. And that's how I can change the perspectives of everything. I don't know how to make the individual back glasses brighter. That's something I need to figure out. I just passed one called Gargamel Park. That is a virtual pinball machine. That is not a pinball machine. It was never really created to be an actual pinball machine. I'm pretty sure that one was done by, in fact, I know for a fact that one is done by a man who lives out in Norway named J.P. Salas. You can see in the info tables that I've got there that I will list not only the name of the table itself, but who created it. And sometimes I show original. But if it's someone who has done enough tables that I really respect their work, Javier 1515 is one, JP Salas is another one. I try to put their name in there because then I have an idea of what's coming from them. Great back class there. I end up appreciating the art of the back glass as much, if not more, than of the play field. You just saw one called Hoedown. That was obviously a picture with a flash taken from a camera that didn't have a lot of megapixels. But that's the best that I could find out there. It requires a fair amount of effort that people put in to create these things. And since no one's doing it for a penny, it's up to how much they care and how much time they are able to invest. Yeah, just going through all these makes me realize how I want to recapture some of the media. Oh, I missed that one. I'll show Jive Time again. I like that one a lot. I have tables that are so old here that when you're watching, the back glasses look funny, almost like they're not back glasses at all. And that is the case in some of the very old ones. I just passed one called Massey, which I think came out in the 50s, and I bet it didn't have a back glass at all. The scoring is built into the playfield. The first video I put out there, I spoke a lot about Cavalcade, and that did not have a playfield, but it's just a really enjoyable table. So I need to put something up there, so maybe I'll just find some artwork. Just something to fill. And then there's those little wheel images that you can kind of see moving from right to left. And there's a few tables where I have not found the correct wheel image out there. Maybe no one created it yet. Is that something that I could potentially do down the line? I think so. I just don't have a really good computer program to do that. So if I can't find the one, and I love that back glass, that's awesome. If I can't find the right wheel image, I'll just put in something else that kind of holds the place. One thing Pinball Y does not do, at least I don't think it can yet, is just call up a random table. And for those of you thinking, why would you want to call up a random table? I'd ask the same question back to you if you own an iPod. Why do you have a shuffle mode? Sometimes you might have just an awful lot of songs in that case, or pinball tables, and you just want to randomly be surprised with one. I think Pinup Popper does randomness. I can't say enough for MJR. I think his name is Michael Roberts. He not only created Pinball Y, but he also has I believe it's him, has a fantastic guide out there that really, more than anything, helped me build this entire machine. Go to mjrnet.org if you're interested. Midnight Magic. Honestly, if someone redid Atari 2600's video pinball, I would have it on here. That would not look too good, but I would want it on here just the same. One of the places I suggest you check out is the YouTube channel World of VPX. I'll try to put the URL in my description of this video. And in there, there's certain playlists of each table, and I think Gottlieb has more tables listed than anybody. But as I was going through this, my collecting of tables, I realized that might not really be the case for Gottlieb. Yes, they may have that many different tables with different names, but that doesn't mean that they're different experiences. I just passed one called, I think, Neptune, that was a one player. In all likelihood, there's another table, provided that was Gottlieb, that's a two player. And it's like the exact same experience, just one extra player, but then it's given a different name. And Gottlieb sold it as a different machine, maybe to a different part of the world. And then they might have one where instead of possibly getting a replay, a free game, you just get an add a ball. And so it's actually possible that, I think Gottlieb does this more than any other in the past, that they would have maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe more machines with really the same concept. So while I was collecting these, it was a painful experience to spend so much time, and was in the backlist there, so much time getting a table ready, only to realize that, no, I pretty much got that same table. You know, but I want unique experiences when they're played. So then I end up removing a table, and since I'm a quantity guy, I'm looking at my number of distinctive machines and recognize, well, that's about to go down. as I was deciding which pinball, that's right, in 1977 there was a pinball machine called Pinhole. When I was first building this, or just collecting the tables, of course I was going with what are known as the all-time greats. I own a pinball machine called Fire, so of course I put that on there right away. My uncle and aunt own 8-Ball, so I wanted to put that on there. And then if you put that on there, you think, okay, well, what else do I want on here? And so what I would do is I would go to the Internet Pinball Database, ipdb.org's top 300 list, where they list the top 300 electromechanicals and the top 300 solid states. And then from there, I would put those on there. And then if you're like me, you become a completionist of sorts. And I guarantee I don't have more tables than everyone. I know that for a fact. I know one of the people that creates machines here has videos of his or her table out there, and I swear the number is like 1,500. I don't know if they have twice as many distinctive machines as I do. And it's not really about, just trying to compare my number to everybody else's. It's not that. But like I said, I'm a quantity guy. And I recognize that some of these tables don't play well. I mean, okay, here's Raven. That's kind of embarrassing. Not many people out there would have a Raven pinball machine and really say, hey, this is the greatest. Look at this. I'm so proud of it. They'd probably be a little embarrassed about it. It might actually play okay. Did I miss one there? I might just get past Ripley's. And that looks like Princess Di to me on the left. Can't help it. And to go back about, do I really have all tables? I don't. What if Stern, who's like the lone survivor from the golden age, if you want to think about 91 and 97, of pinball creation, if they put out a new table today, that doesn't mean I'm going to be able to get a virtual version tomorrow. It would take someone, not from Stern obviously, to recreate it and then to share it. And it'd probably be very difficult for me to show. And another thing is, the community would intentionally not do it. I'm not going to have the newest machines on here. I think it makes sense that Stern be allowed to make an awful lot of money on their creation to get back on their investment before anything ever shows up here. But I do think of the machine I have here as a tribute to pinball, where I'm showing the history of pinball. And yes, like those Serious Sam ones there, I do have some machines that never existed in real life. I may have one that's a little bit different than how it originally existed. I try not to do that much though. See, I have Sheriff. I think I also have Lawman. I think those are the same, but just different number of players. I want to show American tables and Brazilian tables and Spanish tables and maybe from other places as well. I'm just not thinking of them. And when I originally started this project, I just wanted to get the right sort of tables so that then I could say, okay, I'm done with my project, and have a great game in my basement that my family or anybody that comes over could enjoy for 10 years. Hopefully. Doesn't ever seem to work out that way though when it comes to computer technology. I'm looking at the play fields that I'm showing, and if you've been following along, some appear to be viewing from a different angle than others. Or if you were closer to the table, if you see the way the flippers look, do you see a lot of the bottom part of the flipper, right? The way I set it up now, I want to see just a very small amount of the bottom of the flipper. I'm really trying to set it up the way it looks to me when I'm looking at my actual pinball machine, the one I own. Okay, see, I have Al Capone. That's an awful lot like Speakeasy. So that's something I need to spend time on, going in there. In fact, I may make another video like that. I know there's other videos out there about how people, and again, I can't really think of the right term, but with VPX, if you're in edit mode and you hit F6, that's where you're able to dynamically change the way it looks. VP9 did not allow you to do that. In fact, I didn't know I could do it for a long time. But it's something to add to the experience and allow you to believe that you're playing the real thing, to get as close as possible. If you're trying to create a 3D pinball machine on a 2D setting, I think this is where virtual reality is coming in. There's a lot of people in the community that are willing to put on those goggles, those headsets. They're pretty expensive, I know. And build like a small cabinet that they call a stubby and play with the headset on. I don't think my eyes could handle that much. But if you do it that way, then the computer senses where you're looking and changes it on the fly. Other people have set up, I think it's a Kinect system that comes from one of those video game systems. You know, if it's Xbox or PlayStation, forgive me, I don't know. And it's supposed to sense where your head is and change things. That's pretty cool too, but not all tables have that. I think that's something maybe that only Future Pinball offers. Future Pinball is kind of different than VPX. It's something I don't have. Did I skip one again? No, it was Superman. You know, pushing a button on a keyboard 749 times can really make your finger tired. By the time you watch this, I will probably added more tables and maybe remove some. It is a never-ending process. It has felt worthwhile, though. But I'm recording this in the, well, I guess we're undergoing a second wave of COVID-19. I'm really looking forward to allowing other people to enter my home and play this. But I can't really do that safely right now. Hey, you see Time Machine there? That one that I just passed, which had all those psychedelic mushrooms and came out in 1983. Something I've noticed is a lot of the tables shortly after 1983 have a lot of, especially anything with the DMD, have a lot of say no to drugs or some clever version of say no to drugs on there. Time Machine sure didn't have that. It was obviously a different time. Imagine Twilight Zone was one of the first tables I put on here. Another reason that I'm putting this on YouTube is I will watch what other people have and say, hey, well, that is a table. I didn't realize that. Let me go see if I can find it. So for those of you like me who are doing the same thing, here's what I have. I'm not going to tell you specifically where to get any of these, but I'll point you to a couple of places. Look at the description. And maybe you'll get some ideas. And I'm not saying all these are good. I'm certain a bunch of them are not. And I don't necessarily mean the recreation is bad. I mean, it might just not be that good of a pinball experience. Overall, it's fantastic. I have two tables called Yellow Submarine. I think one is just a newer version of the other one. Okay, and I believe that's the end of our journey as I come back to 1, 2, 3. So you've seen all the tables I'm showing you today, and I'm sure I'll have more going. And anyway, thanks for watching. I really enjoyed this rite of passage.